My close friend, 27F, is dating my ex, 26M, and I'm not taking it very well. She didn't tell me, I found out through social media. I'm embarrassed because I vented to her so many times about the issues we were having. If I knew she liked him, I would have never told her half the things I did. I feel like trusting her with the information I did was stupid. I'm hurt because she knows what my ex and I went through to get to this point where we can be friendly/cordial. Our friend group is tight-knit, so we had to get over ourselves and not make it weird for everyone. Lastly, I'm at a loss about my own feelings. She's been my friend since college. It might be a dumb assumption, but I honestly thought my close friends would know that I would not be happy if they hooked up with this ex. Hook up with any of the other guys I dated and I wouldn't care, but this ex was my everything until we imploded a year ago. I guess I'm asking if I'm overreacting and need to get over myself. I feel like I've moved on, but if I have, why am I feeling the way I am? Anyone else ever go through this? My BF and I have been together and living together for over a year and have discussed marriage in the past. I have a dog, 8 years, and we recently also got a puppy together. My BF is extremely close with his family and I have extreme issues with family. This has caused some problems for us, but I thought we were working through them. We usually have an arrangement for holidays where I can pick one or the other. His parents are separated, so there is 2 holiday events to go to. He asked me to go to both Christmas events, and I agreed under the premise I would receive a positive reward for both events. Since he recently proposed, he wanted his family to find out by noticing the ring on my finger. I didn't know everyone going to this event and was already stressed out by the holidays, so asked if we could call his parents beforehand and tell them or schedule a separate time to tell them. We didn't reach a resolution in this debate and ended up going to the first holiday party. Afterwards he told me he wished I hadn't come and that I wasn't invited to the next holiday party. I asked him if that meant that he no longer wanted to marry me, and he didn't answer. I told him if he didn't want to marry me he should sleep in the guest room. He did. The next morning was Christmas and we had a semi-normal but tense Christmas unwrapping presents with the dogs. I told him that I was fine if he went to his mom's Christmas without me, but I would like to talk about our relationship first. He told me that we should acknowledge we aren't compatible and left for his mom's without me and didn't come home that night. I packed a bunch of his stuff up so he could be comfortable and texted him the next day telling him he could pick it up and I would be out of the house but could come back to talk if he wanted. He didn't want to talk. We haven't spoken in person since Christmas and I'm pretty sure the relationship is totally over. I found out 2 weeks ago, to the day, that my best friend of 10 years slept with my boyfriend 7 years ago. She then kept it from me but continued to pretend to be my best friend. I found out 2 weeks ago because she told another mutual friend when it happened but told her that we'd sorted everything out. We hugged and made up and not to talk to me about it because it would just upset me. Me and said mutual friend weren't super close back then, but are now, and this is how it came out. I just don't know what to do about this. I feel like I've been gaslit for years. Ex-boyfriend cheated on me a lot and that's why we broke up. But I never would have dreamed that he would have slept with my best friend in the world, and looking at the timeline, that's what started his cheating. We carried on going out for at least a year after he slept with her and I just feel so betrayed. Why wasn't I enough? Obviously, I'll never speak to her again either, but I just don't know how to deal with this for myself. I feel so awful about everything, and almost feel like I'm to blame. I know I'm not, realistically, but I don't understand how I keep inviting these people into my life. Do I just have a sign on my forehead going "please, mug me off"? I actually enjoy it. I just don't know how I keep attracting these terrible gaslighting people. Plus it's more the 7 years of lies that's really upset me. I knew my ex-boyfriend was a piece of shit, but she manipulated me into being her friend. My boyfriend, 25M, and I, 24F, have been together for nearly 5 years. We have set very firm boundaries around cheating, i.e. no flirting, no dancing, etc. A few weeks ago, he was out with his guy friends at a pre-game and then club. I was boarding a flight back from my hometown and was texting him and asking if he would pick me up in the morning. He said he would, and mentioned that he was on his way home after drinking with his friends. When my flight landed, I texted him and asked him if he could come to pick me up. He started being really rude in his texts and said he was still too drunk to pick me up and didn't care that he told me he would the night before. I knew that he was drinking with his friends but assumed since he told me he would be able to pick me up that he would be sober enough by the morning. I was pretty upset at this because I had to call an expensive Uber from the airport. A few hours after I got back, he said that he had something to tell me. He said that he danced with another girl at the club the previous night and kissed her. I was shocked and in denial, because honestly our relationship has been going well. We hit a pretty good patch recently emo. When I asked him why, he said he was drunk and being a pig. He said it was not my fault at all and he agreed that our relationship had been going really well lately. I was crying and inconsolable, and felt so ashamed I couldn't really bear to tell any of my friends or family. This is what he told me about the event. He was extremely drunk and started grinding with another girl that he was at a pre-game with. He did not know her prior to that night, but we have some mutual friends with her. He had talked with her a little bit at the pre-game, not one-on-one, and they started grinding at the club for a minute or two. Then he kissed her for 2 seconds. He said it was a mutual kiss, whatever that means, before he realized it and pulled away. This was in front of many of his friends, both his good friends and friends he is not that close to but that we see on a semi-regular basis. He felt terrible and sat down with one of his good friends and talked it out with him. His friend told him to tell me as soon as he could, in person. My BF agreed and left right away to go home. He claimed he was blackout drunk and forgot about me and our relationship for the whole 2 minutes of the interaction with the girl. The thing is, his texts that night were all 100% coherent. All the words were spelled correctly, and he was being loving and sending me heart emojis while telling me he would definitely pick me up and he was excited to see me tomorrow. He told me that he sent me some of those texts after he kissed the girl. It's been 4 weeks since I found out. And honestly I have been pretty emotionally unstable. I started feeling extremely depressed a few days after he told me. As a 24-yo, most of my girlfriends are in happy, loving, and committed relationships. I thought I was in one too. I started feeling angry at him for being immature, supposedly forgetting about me and our 5-year relationship, according to him. I don't believe this for a second. I think he just thought fuck it once they started dancing, and letting his dick guide his actions. I am okay with him being attracted to other girls, but I thought he had enough respect for me to never think about this, let alone actually do this to me, let alone do it in front of a bunch of his friends. The part of doing it in front of his friends hurts me a lot, because his friends are not the nicest and I know that people have been talking about this. I feel like he ruined our future with his friend group. I have been letting my anger get the best of me, and it feels like I am on a constant emotional roller coaster. I have been getting pretty bad nightmares lately too. The night after Christmas, I dreamt that he proposed to me and then cheated right after. I had another dream recently where we were at a wedding and he humiliated me by yelling at me in front of all his friends and family. I'm not saying my dreams are a sign I should break up with him, but rather a sign of how fragile my emotional state and trust in him are right now. We have talked about marriage and our future consistently throughout the past half year. I thought we were on the same page regarding our commitment to each other and I think my dreams have been bringing this fear/betrayal to the forefront. I have been taking my anger out on him, not going to lie about that. I've yelled at him, cried in bed for hours, screamed from the bathroom. I know I haven't been doing well at all. There are good days but it feels like the bad days outnumber the good. This is something I'm hoping to get some advice on too. He has been apologetic and telling me he will change, get therapy, work on himself, start treating me like a queen, etc. When he says these things, I think to myself, if you did this after 5 years, how can I trust you again? If we were in a good point in our relationship, how could you forget about me? How could you forget about your girlfriend of 5 years in the first place? What's going to happen if we are in a bad spot in our relationship, like when I'm pregnant or we have kids? When I get very angry and text him constantly, he ignores me because he says I am being toxic, which just makes me even angrier. However, I do understand that sometimes I am being toxic and I want to improve. I love him very much. I want to keep trying, and I have been reading books on love/forgiveness and trying to meditate more and work out more. He is genuinely a nice guy, treats me very well and always tells me that I am beautiful and he is lucky to have me. I don't believe his drunk excuse for a minute and have asked him to stop bringing that up as an excuse, but he still does. In my eyes, he's pretty much using this as a fallback excuse. This was probably one of a handful of times I wasn't with him at the club, because usually I tag along with him and his friends when they go out. I am also angry at him for not mentioning me at the pre-game / mentioning he was going to pick me up the next day. He said he did not really talk about me or bring me up, and for forgetting about me. He also said he has been taking for granted, and when I pushed him about looking at other girls, he admitted he needed to have better self-control considering what happened. It feels like the past 5 years of my life has been a huge lie. I feel the most depressed I have ever felt in a really long time, possibly ever. Even before this happened, I was mildly depressed, kind of having a quarter-life crisis. I've been thinking a lot lately about my future and thought my BF was the best thing in my life, the one rock I could hold on to while I was unsure about my future career, social life, etc. Having the trust broken in our relationship feels like the best thing in my life is now gone, and it's made my depression 10 times worse. I feel humiliated that he cheated on me in front of his friends, not just his close friends but also friends who are not that close to us. We went to an engagement party the week after, and apparently one of his not-so-close friends who wasn't even there that day said to him that he knew what happened. So apparently people have been talking about it, and I just want to hide in a hole and cry all the time because I feel like he took away my pride and dignity. I am working on starting therapy, but my job is very demanding and I only have time on weekends for appointments, which makes it much harder to find a therapist to accommodate. I have also started an anger management class online. He is looking for a therapist. We have talked about what he needs to change, for example his low self-worth, immaturity, lack of self-control, looking at other women to the extent that he feels tempted to dance with / kiss them, FOMO for single life, wanting to be seen as attractive by other women, etc. I'm pretty shattered and the holidays have made it worse. Acting all happy and joyful around family and friends is draining. Nothing has been bringing me happiness, not even quality time with my loved ones. Am I being overdramatic? Am I being blinded by my love for him? What can I do to move forward from this? It's been a month since the incident. I feel humiliated, and I honestly think if he hadn't done it in front of all his friends I would feel better about it and be able to move forward. But he did do it in front of pretty much all his friends and I feel humiliated, ugly, unwanted, and worthless. We will probably see this girl again in the future too, considering she has mutual friends with us and was at the pre-game that my BF went to. The length of the relationship makes it even worse. Him saying that he just forgot about me and our relationship makes me see red, honestly. Because I know I would never have done this, let alone think about doing what he did. I want to forgive him and I think I partially have. But I feel like I need to forgive myself first before I can even think about forgiving him. Thanks for reading, and thanks in advance for any advice. Apologies for this being really long. It feels really good to write this all out. I, F37, have been together with husband, M40, for 14 years, 8 years married. We started our life together. The first couple of years flew by. We were inseparable. At some point we worked together. Shortly after we worked across the road from each other. We were seeing each other for lunch, we were going out with friends, always together. We started saving money to buy a house. I wanted to go traveling together, he was against it. He was saying it was better to save. So I started planning and paid for weekend trips and holidays, as well as saving to buy a house. For his birthday, from when we meet for many years after, I planned surprised abroad city breaks. Over the years he took a dislike to people we both knew, especially my single girlfriends, which I used to go out sometimes with. When I was going out with them, he seemed to be in a bad mood and ignore me. I tried talking with him about it. He was saying it was nothing wrong, that he is fine with it and that it was all in my head. To spare myself the distance he was putting between us at that point, I stopped going out with them and started getting up excuses to my girlfriends not to meet. Same happened with seeing my brother, and I grew apart from my family. We get along really well, he knows me inside out, he spoils me, books spa days we both go to, buys me flowers, cooks for me, and I do the same for him. But sometimes I feel like he is two different people, like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, especially if I go out to work events which due to the nature of my job I need to attend. When I do, I have anxiety going because I know when I come back home I'll get the silent treatment for a few days. After, he's the most loving man in the world and we carry on like nothing ever happened. I work in a different city from where we live. Traffic at rush hour can be a nightmare, and if I do get stuck into it, I felt I need to send a picture to prove where I am. He never asked me to do it, I just feel I have to do it. One day a colleague of mine texted, I got questioned why he did, I've explained it is work and nothing else. He didn't say it but implied I'm having an affair. After that I used to jump every time I was getting a text from someone at work and felt that I had to hide it from him, although there was nothing to hide. Nothing I was doing was making him happy and feel that I'm not good enough during those times. I suggested couple therapy over the years, he is refusing it. A couple of weeks back I was at a work event, he had someone following me. Came back home, he asked where I was, he knew about the event, told him again where. He told me he had someone following me, and that whoever followed me sent him pictures of me getting into a car with another man and driving off. It never happened. I've asked him for the pictures, he said they are not clear. He believes whoever he had following me. Next day he called one of the people I went out with. That person called me and asked what's going on. I'm gutted, embarrassed, and I apologized for it. He is now the loving man who looks after me, holds me and tells me he loves me more than anything else in the world, and I'm confused and don't know how to process and cope with it all. Why do I love this man with every single cell in my body? How do I make him understand that he is all that matters to me?